from being a single parent, if you're don't get trapped into the idea that you need a man, one, or that you need someone to like a man is not a plan. Let me just put it that way. A man is not a plan. And obviously, if you've got yourself into a bad relationship with one before, and this is all on the premise of you had a bad relationship, not that he died, not that he went off to war, not that something else happens. It's that my premise is my experience. So if you got yourself into a bad situation, you're going to repeat it yourself unless you do the inner work. So do that inner work to get past the codependency that puts you into the vulnerability state of falling for somebody else who's also narcissistic or has a, some sort of deficit in their own maturity, because it will reflect in your relationship and you'll never be happy. You'll be constantly going through the revolving door of finding somebody new, having that moment of, oh, he's so great, I love everything about him, and then falling in love. And then as soon as you let your guard down, it goes south. And then you have to break.
Welcome to Single Parent Success Stories, a podcast designed to inspire single parents. Here you'll find resources from self-care to finances to parenting and everything in between. Discover what it takes to thrive. Let the stories inspire you to what is possible. Hello and welcome to Single Parent Success Stories. Today we have a special guest, Eva Vennari, joining us from California. She is the founder of the Elevate Institute. She is a spiritual alchemist who focuses on removing blocks to achieving longevity and healing chronic illness in prime of life professionals. She loves to witness the character development of a person who wants to be better. And she is also a single parent of 2 adult kids. Welcome, Eva. It is a pleasure to have you.
I'm glad to be here. Looking forward to this.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on. So please share with us, how did you become a single parent? Was it by choice or by accident? What happened?
Well, by both. So I don't believe there's an intention in many people, women especially, to have children and then be in a position where you realize the best thing for everyone is that you raise them on your own. So I got married at a young age, 20, and had both of my kids by the time I decided that I needed to divorce. One of those bad eggs that I didn't have the skill set to discern the difference between him and a good choice. And that's, maturity. You have to grow and learn. But the very same thing that led me down that path of divorcing by the age of 24 was the same thing that brought me to chronic illness. And so they're all interrelated. And the more that you live an out of balance life, the more it reflects in your health, is what I found. So that's how it started.
Yeah. When we are young, we don't know everything yet. And
yeah,
we could make different choices with what we knew at the time.
Right.
What were some of the challenges or struggles you faced along the way when you became a single parent?
Well, I was the breadwinner of the family, and the initial struggle was, in my mind, silly things like him asking for paternity. He wanted he wanted to receive payments from me while I took care of the kids and divorced, which was really interesting. So the challenge there was, in the process of the divorce, you have a lot of male influence, including my own lawyer. And I could not believe my ears when my own lawyer asked me, he says, I have to present this to you. Your ex has asked for palimony. And I says, I think there's too many men in the mix here. So there was like very little protection and proper protection for me. And that seems to be a prolific theme in my life, that the men in it were not protected. So that's the big challenge, is that now and plus I was living in a state that did not tolerate well, one, a person from California, and 2, a woman who's now divorced. And so I decided to leave that area. Really beautiful place to live, great to visit, but you don't want to live where you're not welcome. So that was another big challenge. It's like sometimes you just have to pick up and leave. And that was okay. That turned out to be a very good choice for me.
Wow, I haven't heard that one before. So
Yeah.
how did you deal with these challenges?
Very carefully. And it was interesting what I noted in myself and my personality. My ex was a very manipulative person who um, strategized his way to get money from me and others wherever he could. And I had to learn to cut him off at the pass and a little bit become his nemesis. In other words, making sure that I wasn't predictable and getting myself into a position where I was vulnerable to physical attack, because there were 28 counts of domestic violence against him when I left that state. And the walking that path of trying to navigate um, protection orders, and again, you're dealing with the police department and sheriffs, which are majority male, and those individuals would accuse me of causing the problem while trying, obviously he was the one with the past and had that difficulty. So it's like you have to learn to strategize and protect yourself, and that's the recurring theme here, isn't it? So yeah, it's the getting out of your mess oftentimes is an elongated process more than just the decision to leave. And yeah, but I realized, and this was a very poignant moment for me when I was 8 months pregnant with my second child. I remember distinctly announcing, I says, you know what? I think I can do this better without you. So be prepared when she's born that I will be serving you divorce papers. So the navigation of all of that had to be very strategic.
Wow. What helped you along the way? Was there and did your career change as a result of this? Or
Not at the time. My career was in information technology, and that's what made me money and also provided some social support at work. That was the only place I had it, because if you've ever been involved in an abusive relationship, the abuser isolates the victim. And so in this case, that was true for me. I didn't have any family nearby other than his family, and they all believed him. So this was, again, a matter of navigating, but also not changing my mind. I know a lot of women, especially when they're being abused, which is many of the reasons why so many single mothers are single. It's because they felt abused during the relationship and didn't have the skill set to say, look, you either shape up or ship out. Like the ship out was the decision, and not to continue going back and forth like a ping pong. So I made the decision, finalized it before I announced it to him, and I never once thought about going back, ever.
I think that's great, because when you have clarity, it's easy to move forward when you don't have the back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah, the biggest mistake you can make, and not to make this all about an abusive relationships, but I had become an advocate for battered women after healing through all of this process. And this is many years ago. I divorced in 1998. So this has been a long time. But that biggest part is to make the decision and not go back and forth. Really educate yourself around that process. And I hear this all the time from women. Oh, but he's not all that bad. I understand, but a good portion of him is. So make the necessary changes to protect yourself and your children. Yeah.
Totally, totally. So right. What kind of advice would you give to your younger self?
I don't believe there was any advice I could have given myself at the time. The ball was rolling, the avalanche had started. I was raised in a way where that love was recognized as love, and it's not love. It's abusive behavior. So until you can get yourself to that safe place, there's no advice that will work. There's none.
Very well said. What do you think is the most important trait to instill in a child?
Oh, the very one that I was denied, which is really learn to listen to your intuition. It's okay to follow your heart as long as you take your head with you. The generation that's currently out, they believe that their life and their identity depends upon how they feel. And that's a big mistake. It's a disaster in the happening. It's not even waiting to happen anymore. It is happening. And we need to learn to use facts as a foundation for critical thinking skills. So these would be the things to instill in your children, along with how to do laundry, how to cook 10 basic meals, how to how to register your car, how to balance your checkbook, etc. Yeah, these are some things to learn.
Totally. I love, what you bring, and that's totally right. It's now it's all about how you feel.
Yeah, big mistake. It's a very big mistake. Yeah.
Did you have a hero growing up, somebody you looked up to?
I didn't have a human hero. I loved to watch cartoons. I think as Gen Xers, we were stuck in front of the TV after school watching, oh my gosh, I can't even remember half the Robotech would be a big one that I was involved in. So I think the adventure of being a leading woman, I got from not only that, but the essence of Barbie, be whatever you want to be who you want to be, be more. Be empowered, that kind of thing. But Wonder Woman was my favorite cartoon.
I look at you, I do see a Wonder Woman. Even what you overcome and where you are today is like completely two different people, and how you were able to resurrect yourself and making a decision and sticking to it. I think that's very important. What kind of advice would you give to single parents who are just stepping onto the journey of single parenting?
Yeah, I think from being a single parent, if you're don't get trapped into the idea that you need a man, one, or that you need someone to like a man is not a plan. Let me just put it that way. A man is not a plan. And obviously, if you've got yourself into a bad relationship with one before, and this is all on the premise of you had a bad relationship, not that he died, not that he went off to war, not that something else happens. It's that my premise is my experience. So if you got yourself into a bad situation, you're going to repeat it yourself unless you do the inner work. So do that inner work to get past the codependency that puts you into the vulnerability state of falling for somebody else who's also narcissistic or has some sort of deficit in their own maturity, because it will reflect in your relationship and you'll never be happy. You'll be constantly going through the revolving door of finding somebody new, having that moment of, oh, he's so great, I love everything about him, and then falling in love. And then as soon as you let your guard down, it goes south. And then you have to break up and start all over again, but you have another mouth or two to feed as a result. So don't do that. Heal yourself first. Allow for at least 2 years after a divorce or a breakup to get through. Do not date. Do not do anything sexual because it will attach you. And that's a spiritual thing too. It'll cause problems. So clear up your energy, clear up your codependency, learn boundaries, how to stand up for yourself appropriately. All of those things are going to benefit you and anyone else you're in a relationship with. And nobody of quality will want to get into a relationship with somebody who hasn't done the work.
Yes, I totally agree with you. Instead of doing a rebound thing, or like you said, man is not a plan.
No, it's scary at first, but society does fund us as women, especially if we have our children. If you're a man, if you have the children, they will support you. They, meaning the government, has tons of programs out there. You do not have to rely on. In fact, I did not get any child support. So you can do it. It's not easy. You're not going to be able to do it all, but you can do it in not better than basic. You can do it.
Cool. Awesome. Are there any programs that you are aware of?
Well, in every city, there is a family service agency. It's a great place to start. A quick Google search with my local family service agency, and you call them up and they will give you information, whether you need a safe place, if you need temporary housing, if you need counseling. They all have free to sliding scales. I don't work for them, but that's where I had my resources. And I was able to even enroll myself and my kids at the time into camps and other programs that were very supportive for single parents. So don't pass up the free opportunities, and what's around you. It's in plethora, to the point where you have to be discerning and learn to say no to some free things too.
Thank you. Thank you. I learned something new today. How did your career change as a result of what has transpired?
My career was independent of my relationship. I decided in high school, before I met my now deceased ex-husband, he passed away some years ago. And there was a gentleman who visited the school. He said, I have been an entrepreneur my whole adult life, and I've decided to reinvent myself every 10 years. I loved that idea. So after about 10 years in the information technology field, I switched it up and I moved on to a different career in construction. And I did that for 16 years. And then I started this business, the Elevate Institute, while working that construction position as an architectural rep in natural stone. And so I had a side gig, a full-time job, and raising two. At this time, they were now teenagers. So you can do it. There are ways to do it. Just be organized, very aware, and stay away from drinking or anything else that dulls your mind, because you got to have your wits about you.
Totally. I love that. I love that, idea about reinventing yourself, because we sometimes think, like, generally speaking, you have this one career, one life, and you kind of stick to it. But I think in the last decade, or maybe even longer, the way everything is going, you could have as many careers as you like, and you could continuously reinvent yourself. And it's not to say something was bad, it just you have learned everything there was to learn, and now you kind of open the door and explore a different avenue and keep yourself kind of in life, being alive by pursuing different ideas and be excited and invigorated about living and not just passing by.
It's very true, because and some people don't see the connection between information technology, natural stone, and the healing work that I offer, and they absolutely are all related. There's always a point of contact between all of them. I am pulling all of my experience from both of my previous and my current work in order to build on what I'm offering today and be of greater service. So you never lose experience unless you decide you just don't want to use it. But that's silly, because all experience is good.
Yes, nothing is a failure, everything is a learning opportunity, and I totally love that. Is there anything I haven't asked that you would like to share?
No, I think we covered a lot here, and I think a repetition on really listen to your intuition from the get-go and learn those boundaries. I can't say that enough, so I'll just repeat those two things.
Yes. Any fun projects you're working on that you like to share?
Oh yeah, I just recently reinvented things again. So I have what I call an ascension program. It helps people get to that next level in life, whether that's physical and relationshiping, or whether that's in their spiritual body. And just invented, took all of my in-person modalities and created what I call the Evolve Consciousness VIP experience. Woo! So I get to have fun with all of these in-person magical modalities and healing people with crystals and all things. And it first was a challenge, but you take the challenge and you turn it into, an opportunity, to coin a 90s phrase of reparadigming. But this was fun for me to be able to do that, and I now offer it.
Awesome. I love that. If people would like to connect and learn more about you, where would they go?
Best way is a quick, you'll find me on Google for sure. So I'm the only Eva Vennari in the world. That's easy. But otherwise, you can find me on theelevateinstitute.com. And from there, you'll find all kinds of ways to interact, listen to more podcasts like this one, interviews on all different kinds of subject matters, articles, blogs. There's a shop, all kinds of fun things. But most importantly, whatever I said might have resonated, and you'll want to have a conversation that's private. I offer that for free. 20 minutes, just scroll to the bottom of the front page and you'll find the Start Here button. It goes right to my personal calendar, and you can set aside some time for us and we will talk.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much for coming on, sharing your story and your wisdom. It's been a pleasure to have you.
It's been great to be here. Thank you.